Riverside FM.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast. Hopefully everyone is having a good weekend. Podcast is being a little late today. It's coming to the end of Saturday, going into early Sunday morning. So definitely got a late start in discussing this podcast, working on other things for it. The YouTube channel is officially out, so if you want to follow that at Red Devils Corner Kick Pod, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Red Devils Corner Kick Pod, and then Twitter at RD Corner Kick Pod. So Twitter's out, YouTube is finally up. Uploaded the first 3 episodes to it, so I spent some of the day working on editing and creating a video, which is mostly I haven't gotten to the point where it's like other social medias or other fan channels with the way they have their videos, but slowly making my way there. So the first 3 episodes will be the audio, and you'll see a very, very simple clip, which is just there, and it's just the logo for right now. So as I get going with the channel, you will see more and more improvements. So it's just the beginning, so please be patient, but I will start working on newer stuff as I start getting everything going. I'm only in my first week, technically, of the channels, or of the podcast, so it's a slow and steady race building this up. So, but again, today we're going to talk Leicester. We have the game, which when you're listening to this podcast will be happening today, 3 p.m. North American, 3 p.m. for my time where I am in Canada. So yeah, we have that game. It's the last game before the international break. We're just coming off the big win against Real Sociedad. A lot of people happy with that. Obviously, you're going to hear the pundits make their reasons as well, but other things going on. Sir Jim is back in the news again. Had another interview with this weekend, so definitely talking more and more about what's going on. So had an interview with the BBC today. Definitely discuss everything that's going on. So I will talk a little bit about that. I did just read some of the articles that came out about him. Like this week, with everything that's been going on with the announcement of the stadium, the interview with Sir Jim on the overlap, and I know I've spent previous episodes discussing this, but here we are again talking about Sir Jim, what he's doing with the club, protecting the Glazers. Yes, it's not a secret, but we have that going on. And let's remember this, ladies and gentlemen. Today, being the 16th, is 1 week from the 1 week from the protests. And the one thing that's incredible is, and it's the truth, well, at least I believe it's the truth, is the Glazers and Ineos have literally made fans forget that there was a protest last Sunday. The 1958 have definitely been speaking out about what's been going on. They still keep fighting, but again, we're seeing here this week that, you know what, they're going to forget everything that's been going on and what's going on with the club, but here we are. And what is happening is now with this interview, everyone's going to start focusing on Sir Jim. Now we have all this stuff going on. He's kind of spoken up a little bit more compared to the Gary Neville interview from what I've read. He's definitely been more vocal in terms of his relationship with the Glazers. So and he's kind of, from what I've been reading and hearing, he's been kind of throwing people under the bus to say the least, when it comes to certain people. So this is what we're looking at here. Instead of going after the owners, which we know you kind of can't really do that because of the relationship that they have. But here we are looking at an interview where it's questionable, but I'm going to discuss that later on in the episode. Today is mostly focusing on the matchup, which we have Leicester City. Again, it's the last one. We have 2 weeks off after today. So the question is going in today was rotation. That's what I've been hearing a lot. Getting the young guns in, having them play, getting them time. Like, what are we going to see? What are we planning for the formation? I know we're playing Leicester. And again, looking at the table, obviously the table hasn't fully updated with all the games being played, but like Leicester is sitting bottom 3, second from the bottom in the table. And then we're looking at Manchester United, which is just a few places up, or sorry, I should say a few. We're currently sitting at 15th just with the update, so there's no changes, but here we are looking at it and we're wondering what should be the next steps. Like, what should we be doing for the game, what the formation is. I know a lot of people are mentioning young players coming in, wondering if Cheeto Obi will be playing, will he be starting, will he be coming in later on, because I know you want to give players rest, and I know you have players going off to international break, but here we are, we're looking at, health, getting people healthy, and I mentioned in the last episode with us going to the quarterfinals for Europa, coming back from break, hopefully getting a bigger squad, healthier. So we're wondering how that's going to play out. So we're going to take a look at wondering if we're going to see some of the young players coming in. So we don't know what's going to happen. For all we know, it's going to just be like a regular game going to the international break. And then coming out of the international break, that's when we'll start seeing the rotation. Because you're going to have players coming off of international break. You're going to have players, wanting to focus on the Europa League. Because again, our next match would be, again, April 10th is when we start the quarterfinals. We do have a few games in between that. So you're going to want to start rotating when you come back. Obviously, with people playing in the international teams, you want to give them that time. So we will see. And I'm going to give you my squad for tomorrow, what I believe, or at least I think is going to happen. And some people do have some players starting. So let me just pull up my starting list for tomorrow. So obviously Onana is in goal. We're still waiting on their backups to get healthy. Mateus still lit. Heaven and Maguire. Maguire does come back. I don't think he's going to play a full game, but you want to get him some minutes just to get himself healthy. You're going to have Delo and Mazraoui out on the wings because, again, Dorgu is still suspended. Suspension should be done when they come back from international break. Ugarte, who didn't play on Thursday just due to a previous injury, so you had Toby Collier coming in. You could see either Ugarte or Collier coming in tomorrow as the starter. And, you had Collier coming in during the game last week. So that's something I might see actually happening. Actually, I'm going to change that just because I got my prediction here through the Manchester United table or through the app that I do my prediction. I'm going to do a restriction on that. And the reason why is you're probably going to bring him in for a couple minutes. And, well, I'm talking about Ugarte because, again, he's not fully healthy. There was a concern, but if you have the ability of bringing in a young player like Collier, you kind of want to give Ugarte not as much minutes as possible. So I'm just going to take a look at this squad, make some adjustments. So let's just switch it out here. There we go. So we have Collier in, Ugarte out. Now I'm going to make that change here on my squad when I post it on my Twitter. And then looking at Fernandes and Collier in the middle, and then your front three, Garnacho, Xerxes, and Højlund. Keep that the same there. They definitely moved the ball good last week. There was the great transition, the good passes. So we'll see that there for tomorrow. But yeah, that's what I'm liking here. Again, it's hard to say what's going to happen because, again, a lot of people are looking into tomorrow. So, like, I know I saw some where you see Harry Amas looks like he's potentially coming in. So it's a question of, do they do the rotation now, or do they look at just keeping everything the same and then start doing the switch like I mentioned when they come back from international break. So it's I don't want to say concerning. Actually, no, concerning is the wrong word to use. And so just looking at the senior squad, because Luke Shaw is out. Harry Amos, you could see time with tomorrow. Obviously, Lenny Euro is out. And again, I mentioned Collier. Mason Mount is back, so you'll see him get minutes tomorrow. You still have Eriksson, Casemiro. Kobe is still out. I'm referring to Kobe Mainu. When we're looking at forwards, I hope Cheeto's not even listed when you look on the website, but I think Cheeto Martin, you should see him in. There are talks about Ahmad not coming back for tomorrow, but they are looking at him coming back hopefully later on in the season because they think the recovery is going a lot better than expected. We'll wait and see. But let me just take a look here. Under 21s, who might be coming up from the under 21s? Let me just take a look here. Right now, you might see Kone in the lineup tomorrow. I think you might see Fletcher in there tomorrow as well. Ethan, I don't think you'll see Ethan Williams. I'm just going to go look at the under 18s because there might be one or two under 18s coming up because you might see that as well. So, the under 21s just played, same with some of the under 18s. So, yeah, because Cheeto Obi should be in the squad for tomorrow. Just taking a look at some of the rest just to see if there's anyone else that could potentially be coming up. You may see Godwill, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Again, anyone from the under 21s or even the under 18s, you might see some of them come up. The only one I could see potentially maybe Kone, but I think you're going to see Harry Amas come in. You're going to see Cheeto Obi come in. So I don't know if we're going to see many young players tomorrow, just because, again, we're going to the international break. Some players may not be playing for 2 weeks. So you want to give them that extra minutes. So you want to wait and see. And then maybe when we come back, you start doing the rotation. You start seeing more players, different faces, some of the young players coming in there to play. So it's good that Harry Maguire's coming back. You're going to give him some minutes before the break. You still have Harry Amos that you can bring in as well. So, but again, just to go over the roster or my squad again for tomorrow. Let me just get my little notes up here. So yeah, DeLitt, Heaven, and Maguire. DeLitt's been playing great all year. Again, Maguire getting the minutes. Heaven, who was great last game, we're seeing that as well. So I'm liking that. Again, back three, and I mentioned who my 4 in the middle would be and my 3 up front. But I think that's what the squad is. Now, the one thing you may see is change and, minutes. You might see reduced minutes. Again, you might see Ugarte, Mount, Eriksson coming in, and then Cheeto Obi. And you might even see Victor Lindelof coming off as well, just because, again, Harry hasn't played in a bit. You want to give minutes, you want to give rest. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see because, again, a lot of people just mentioned rotation, but like having rotation before you go on an international break is one thing. Doing it after an international break would be a better idea just because you want to close it out. You want to bring in momentum. You're coming off a big win on Thursday. So you want to carry that through. Hopefully they bring that to their squads for the national teams. Then they go into the week and then they come back and that's carried over from the 2 weeks off. So that's what we're looking at here. And that's what I think is potentially going to happen. So again, it's hit or miss. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think Collier will be in just because, again, he played on Thursday for a bit. He can go in right beside Bruno. You can bring in Ugarte just to give him some minutes. You can give him some minutes with, again, McGuire. So we will see again. The goal is to get through this healthy, get the time off, get players healthy, get them back. Because like I mentioned last episode, getting Lenny Euro back as healthy is key. Again, having Dorgu back due to suspension, having him come back is good for the Premier League, but he wasn't affected in the Europa League. Having Mason Mount healthy coming back is good. Ugarte, having him healthy and back is good. So the more pieces we can get do help our attack as well. Because again, Ahmad is still out. We only have 3 real attacks. So if you can have Mason come back and play in the 10, that gives you another attack. Kobe Mainu, who is still out, that gives you another attack if you bring him in and use him as a 10 or bring him into the pivot. So we have that there. So again, we don't want to be heavily reliant on Eriksen and Casemiro. The experience there is great, but giving some pieces there in our attack, which can help and move the ball, having Xerxes, Kobe, Mason Mount, Rasmus, Garnacho, having that there, having rotation, having pieces is great. The restrictions on Mount are definitely going to be key because, again, he's just coming back off of an injury that got him out for a long time. Like, we have to be patient with this and just keep people healthy, and having the time off is important. So let's hope for the best right now with this squad and just keeping them healthy and just maintaining everything going forward. So that's the one thing I'm looking at for tomorrow's game. Just health, like, again, there will be rotation, but not as big as what many people are going to think. Because again, it's about just getting those that are injured some minutes, some time to get some legs in. And then as the international break goes on, people are getting healthier, getting better conditioning, getting ready to go when they come back from international break. So that's what I'm seeing here for the next 2 weeks. So I'm excited for it. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm looking forward to it. So again, in my regards, do I hope for a win? Yes. Do I make a prediction for a win? I always do, unless I really have a feeling. So again, I am going for a Manchester United win for tomorrow, carry over from Thursday, bring it into the break, bring it back from the break as well going forward, because we have some big matchups. But again, the key is to get everyone healthy for the Europa games, use the young guns. And I know I keep referring to the young guns for the younger players, but again, having them come in, play, get those minutes, get the experience. Because again, we're going to see, because some of these players that we bring in, the young ones, will definitely be replacing some players that are leaving. Eriksen is planning to leave on a free. You also have Lindelof leaving on a free this summer. We know Kobe, we don't know what's happening with that. Rumors of Garnacho. So we don't know what's happening. And we're also hoping, I shouldn't say hope, but you're expecting Rashford to leave, Anthony to leave, Jadon Sancho to leave. So those are 3 players gone. So we have to see what the youth can do. Tyrell Malacia will be leaving as well. So you're going to have players coming in, replacing it as well. So we have to see what's going to be happening going forward. So you might see Harry Maas come in. Like, if I'm Amarin tomorrow and I'm making my substitutions for tomorrow, I'm bringing in Harry Maas in, because I know some people I saw bringing him in as a left wing back in replace of Dorgu. So you can have him coming in, or some people have had him as a starter. I think you may bring him in the second half, depending on how the game goes. Cheeto, you bring in depending on how the game is going. Ugarte, you're going to bring him in, obviously, no matter what the game is doing. And then probably going to go to Erickson and Mount as well. So you want to give them time and minutes. So I think those would be the pieces there that you're going to look at. So overall, I'm hoping for a win, like I just mentioned. But again, it's just going to be, I think a lot of people are looking into this a lot more. I won't say difficulty, but I should say, I think some people are overthinking what the predictions are going to be. But I think it's just going to be straight and simple. The only change is just going to be because Dorgu is out due to the suspension. It's just bringing in Harry Maguire, who's healthy, moving Mazraoui up to the wings, and then there you go. That's what you're looking at for tomorrow. And rotation again, it will be some young, but also some players that are just coming back from injury that you just want to give conditioning to. So even Ruben Amorim mentioned even 5 minutes with Mason Mount is perfect to have. So we may see Mason Mount just for 5 minutes tomorrow. We may see him for a couple weeks or for a couple minutes. You might see him for a few minutes. You might see him get double-digit minutes, like nothing like 20, but maybe 10, 15 minutes there. So we will see. Again, it all depends on how the game is going. That's all I'm going to say, and that's how big the rotation is. But it's definitely going to be a good game. Again, we're always happy when we're seeing Rude, so we'll definitely look at how everything's going to play out for tomorrow. So definitely going to be excited to see how it's all going to play out. So, but we'll see how it all goes. Okay. So now that we've moved on from the prediction, what we're going to be discussing is definitely Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Well, I'm not going to spend much time on this, but because I'm just looking, I was reading information from the BBC. The title of the BBC article is "Abuse Would Lead Me to Walk Away from Manchester United." That's from Sir Jim Ratcliffe's word, from his exact words. So we're taking a look here. We're seeing, like, we saw the interview Monday with him and Gary, but again, he definitely talks about what he's been experiencing. Again, he talks about, they talk about how Sir Jim could walk away from the club if he gets the abuse by the fans in the same way the Glazers have. That may get him to walk away. That's interesting to see because, again, he's only been here for a year, and I get that he has been, now of the last month or two, a couple months, sorry, been taking the heat with the cuts, the changes and everything. He has explained what's been going on. He has been explaining the finances, how everything was going. He did talk about how the Glazers are wonderful people, but they gave an extension of a rope where it just got carried away over the last 10 years. I don't know if that's exactly true. But again, the Glazers bought this club with debt, with a loan. And so they're in debt. So that's part of the debt right there. Using more debt to get transfers in. Not only that, there's expected to be 1.5 billion, I believe, I've seen or heard through sources where that's how much they're going to need for the stadium, and then raise funds up to maybe just over $500 million, maybe close to $1 billion, just so you're not relying so much on the loan. So we're already at $1.5 billion with the new stadium, plus the $1 billion that the Glazers kindly gave Manchester United fans. So right now we're looking at $2.5 billion worth of debt, and you don't think fans should be upset about that? You don't think protests like last weekend should be there? So listen, Sir Jim, He put the money in. He knew exactly what was going on. He basically, how do I put it? He basically said he is the shield, or actually Gary pretty much said he's the shield for the Glazers, taking all the hits. So he like Sir Jim talks about how wonderful the Glazers are, but he's basically admitted that he said that the Glazers are that impactful with everything, that they're barely there, but they're wonderful people. He did mention about the rope. He did mention about the finances when I talked about this episode on Monday. But overall, like to reiterate with this second interview with the BBC, it's kind of tough to kind of try to determine how to look at it. But he, just needless to say, it's him trying to, I don't know, maybe add more to what he said on Monday in terms of that. So, but we're kind of looking at wondering what the next steps will be. That's how I'm just leaving it there. We're wondering what the next steps will be with this ownership. So again, he did mention, hey, if it continues on, I may leave. He may not be able to, he won't stick around, which doesn't really look good in the end. It doesn't really help out the Glazers when you say those words. He also mentioned some stuff about certain ex-members of management. This is coming in from Sky, from when they're talking about it. Sir Jim lifts the lid on fan abuse, obviously talking about if it continues. Talks about Woodward and his relationship with the Glazers. Woodward, obviously, if you know who he is, he kind of definitely threw him under the bus with everything that was going on. But again, it's it's so hard to try to read into this when you're looking at it. Because I'm looking here. So eventually, if it's reached to the extent the Glazers families have been abused, then I have to say, look, enough is enough, guys. Let someone else do this. They can't really come to a match, the Glazers. They've retreated into the shadows a bit now, so I'm getting a little bloody sick. He's basically trying to tell the fans to back off. Mentions how he bought in. I haven't seen them since. So now he's basically saying that he really hasn't talked to the Glazers. But from my understanding is when they have the meetings once a month or scheduled whenever, the Glazers are there. There's a Glazer at the game sometime. We're standing right beside. Like, I don't know. To say that he hasn't seen them since is, I think, an underestimate, especially with when you look at it, the Glazers still are on that committee, still talk about whether the Glazers, like I believe it's Joel Glazer, that still says words on transfers, money spent, everything. So there's so much to contradict in this interview from what I've seen. So there's one statement here. I don't know why we bought Man United. Asked why he decided to ban United, and it was a question Ratcliffe found difficult to answer. Like, when you're reading this, and again, it's hard to predict because I would like to watch it. I'm just reading here most of off articles, but it's like, I think when I was watching, what was it, this morning, I was watching the United stand, and they were mentioning some of the interview and just some of the comments, and you're just like listening into your headphones, and you're just got a smile on your face, like even they seemed a little, I'm not saying like, it's definitely an article that's definitely like, this interview is leaving me scratch my head of like, well, you said all this on Monday, and now this is either a retraction or you're just like, you know what, let's just remove the filter and just say whatever, screw it, let's go, let's just leave it on here. Because there's one statement here. He said, I can honestly answer why we did it. It's quite a difficult question. With Nice, the French league, you can buy a club for 100 million. It's much cheaper access. But I don't particularly enjoy going to watch Nice because there are some good players, but the level of football is not high enough for me to get excited. It's still a professional league. And I know, listen, football fans, we do have our leagues. We still, everyone enjoys it. Whether the French league in comparison to the Premier League, to La Liga, to even the to the league in Portugal, as well as the Bundesliga. Like, every league is a professional league. And just hearing that, saying that about his club, is saying that he's basically not interested in watching Nice because of the talent, but basically just saying he's not interested. He said that the Glazers are passionate about Man United. If they were, they would throw in money. Where's the money? So again, this is all from Sky, from what I'm reading. To be fair, the Glazers are really good on commercial side. Yes, we're well aware of that. But the people who advise me say the fans don't want to hear it, so I've got to be cautious. And I get a lot of criticism if I support the Glazers, but the fact is they are really decent people. They are East Coast, the old East Coast. They're very polite. They are very civilized. They're very nice people on the planet. There isn't a bad bone in Joe Glazer's body. Part of the problem is there isn't a bad bone in his body. Like, he basically is saying, not like, he's basically showing his favor for the Glazers. Like, he went on saying that since we bought it, we hardly see him, and like, he's just admitting that he is seeing Joel Glazer. Like, we know he has. So, in all fairness, this first year with this year of Ineos has not been the best. I still don't think, like, I really didn't want to spend much time talking about this. I really didn't, but I'm going to. Because again, the next paragraph goes into some of the choices about Dan Ashworth and Eric Ten Hag. But, like, again, they wanted Dan Ashworth. They said it didn't work out because just chemistry. Ten Hag is just a team with, like, they said they had regrets. I think, you know what I think? I think Dan Ashworth had opinions on how to run the club correctly. I think it may have cost more money. And I think what Ten Hag was doing with Dan Ashworth, maybe that was going to cost more money. But I think, I don't think Ineos, and the Glazers wanted to hear that. So, but that's the interview. Like, there's more on. He talks about Woodward. He talks about Woodward and Richard Arnold, basically saying that they weren't qualified. Listen, if you know the past, you know the past. But again, it's, you know what? This interview, from what I'm reading, either is contradicting everything that could have been, or sorry, I shouldn't say contradict. Either this article is really stating everything that Sir Jim wanted to say Monday with Gary Neville, but had his leash. But this one is, I don't know, in part 2 to Monday, where you kind of scratch your heads about his relationship with the Glazers. So, I don't know. It's, I'm just going to leave the interview there. That's all I'm going to say. It's not really, if you want to find it, you can see it on BBC or on Sky, but it's the interview. It's leaving me scratch my head with the way things are. So let's leave it there with Sir Jim. Like, again, I can go on for probably days right now talking about the way things are going, but I think we need to move past that. So as well. So again, we do have Leicester tomorrow. I know the Jim Ratcliffe another interview came out. I know there was a player Man United were looking to sign this summer from Sporting, where Chelsea has taken him, and he's going to sign in 2026. And I know fans are a little upset about that and blaming towards the Glazers, and towards Ineos and Sir Jim messing that up. To me, I don't know the full behind the scenes of what may have happened. But again, if Chelsea offered something that we couldn't, then we couldn't. We shouldn't be going to the bank on a player where it may cost us or hurt us in the end. We know the summer's transfer window is going to be unique. to say the least. That's usually my favorite word to use sometimes, unique, because we don't know where the money's coming from. We don't know which players are going to be sold. So we're basically going to be like, well, this is how we're going to play it out for this transfer window. I know they're eyeing for a striker. I know they're eyeing for wing backs, especially a right wing back to complement Dorgu. And then you have other like strikers as well. Defense, goalkeeping is definitely one there as well. So we're looking at what this summer transfer window could be, and we don't, like, because I mentioned Eriksen's leaving on transfer, Lindelof, Johnny Evans is, I believe, is going to be retiring. We don't know if Maguire is getting re-signed. Actually, he's got a 1-year extension that I believe they exercise. Extending it has not been clear. Rashford, Anthony, Sancho are potentially being sold. Garnacho and Kobe may be on the board to be sold. So we really don't know what's the next steps. So it's definitely funds. We're definitely looking at trying to get money available, trying to see if there's space, trying to build on something. I hope that the Glazers and Ineos are being like, well, this team's turning it around. That should carry over to next year. Let's not think like that. So there are other players that are available on free, so maybe take a look at those players that are on free, not the ones that are leaving from our club, but talent that is available there to help us that fit the Amarin system. So, because again, they're hoping on, they're hoping on Champions League through Europa. You want to have funds available to help them. So, and also the more you win, the more it helps you get up in the table. So, we want to get a chance there. So there's a lot of things happening. So we'll see how this summer goes. And I know losing out on Coenda is tough, but there are going to be other players to see and report on and check. So we will see how this plays out. Because again, Dallo may be sold this summer. I'm not saying he's going to be, but he could be sold. Again, Rasmus could be going. Because again, you're going to have Xerxes who can play in the 9, but he's not a traditional 9, he's a 10, especially in the system. So you have Cheeto, but you're going to need an experienced one. You may want to keep Rasmus, or you're using Rasmus there. There may be a free transfer that you could bring in as well. You're going to look at you're going to look at the academy. You're going to look at youth players to bring up as well. So you need senior players who have been in that dressing room a long time to help, grow it. So we'll see how this transfer window goes. There might be more to talk about during the international break, obviously, because the team isn't playing. We're definitely going to see reports from everyone talking about, transfers, again, rumors. We may have some locker room leaks, but we don't know. But it's just a matter of just seeing how everything plays out. So we don't know what's happening yet. Summer transfer window is still months away. So there's going to be speculations. There's going to be rumors. You're going to see every fan channel give their predictions. Again, I will report from what I see and what I hear. Again, I'm only a weekend, so it's not like my world is very, or inclusive with everything about Manchester United. But again, I will report when I see the news or what I hear or see, or give speculation or even give predictions of what I think is going to happen this summer. So time will only tell. That's it. Just be patient, and you know what? We'll see how things go. Because I'm sure we're going to hear that we're not going to have any money. We're going to hear another week that we do have money. There's going to be a week that we're like, we have money, but we're going to be careful. So things are going to get twisted around. So, but that's it for today's episode. I do apologize for it being a very late night, early morning, depending on where you are listening to it. So definitely looking forward to the game. Technically, it's about almost 25 to 1 where I am. So 25 to 1 a.m. So today is the game. So we still got hours and hours away from the game. So definitely looking forward to that. Again, key is potential rotation, young players coming in. So we'll see that. But again, very happy with Thursday's win. Hopefully it carries through to today. I'm sure we're going to hear more about Sir Jim throughout the international break as well. But that I'll talk about that on other episodes as well. So you won't see as many episodes now, but my next one will definitely be potentially after the game or the day after, discussing how everything worked, how everything went against Leicester. But definitely discuss that there. And then throughout the international break, I'll have some episodes as well, just talking about Manchester United and everything that's going on as well. May even talk about some of the international games that are going on too. But thank you for listening to tonight's episode, or this morning's podcast, episode of the podcast. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Have yourself a good Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're up watching the Australian Grand Prix, I will be kind of watching a little bit of that as well before I go to bed. But again, thank you for listening to tonight's episode of the podcast. Have yourself a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for listening to the Red Devils podcast. Red Devils Corner Kick podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.